They were viewing the dumbest profile on earth, this absolute knob. So, he's EU fanboy, and we're gonna these guys are so dumb. They have the dumbest opinions on earth. So here he's making fun of America. Now, Europe doesn't actually have a military, it relies on America for everything. And because Europeans are all about destroying themselves, they're gonna make fun of the people they rely on, self-defense. Here he has this French politician, his profile. This is a nobody, and of course he's gonna have a nobody as his profile. To represent. I bet this guy has this guy has way more conservative opinions than whatever. Anyway, who cares? So obviously he has the EU prioritized as third most important thing. The EU people don't even prioritize themselves. Alright, posting about Ukraine. Who cares? Ukraine's not part of the EU, and also Europe has given more money to Russia than it ever has to Ukraine because it doesn't have its own energy sector, because it destroys it, because they have this religious belief that they're gonna save the world by having no energy sector or energy security. For example, in Germany, they turned off all their nuclear power. They're constantly destroying all their dams and mines. Why? Because they have this religious belief. The Green Party and Green Party is all part of the government and everything. Okay, so here he's spreading misinformation and lies, as all EU people do. In the debate on the EU, both sides are lying. So you have people claiming that the EU does everything. Like, the EU is to blame. It's like another group of people that everyone blames. Okay, they're like, the EU is to blame for everything. If it's raining, the EU is to blame. And then there's people who, which isn't true. The EU literally doesn't do anything. It's a useless institution. It could disappear tomorrow and no one would notice. It doesn't do anything. It literally doesn't do anything. People are like, oh my gosh, the EU will defend Ukraine. The EU doesn't have an army. What are they going to defend Ukraine with? Taxes, tariffs, economic regulations, huh? Environmental regulations. What are the EU going to do? And the EU people claim they do everything. So, oh my gosh, this cat's making me sick. So, bunch of garbage, slop. Okay, so here's one. The EU's GDP. The EU doesn't have a GDP. It's an economy. It doesn't have a GDP. Oh my days. And all these countries that he's bragging about with their economies, they all break the EU's regulations and get sued by them. If they actually follow the EU's regulations, the EU would be poorer than China. Oh my days. This is so dumb. I'm really going to bring up Poland as well. Poland's literally the chief breaker of the EU regulations. The EU relies on Poland for everything, because it breaks, when it comes to weapons, missiles, and manufacturing ammunitions. Because Poland doesn't follows less environmental regulations than other countries. Anyway, so it's not true the EU is to blame for everything, and the EU people claim the EU does everything. Look at this post, EU GDP. The EU doesn't have a GDP. The EU is useless. It doesn't have a GDP. Sorry, Brexit. Why are people hating on Brexit? Brexit was a decision, okay? When Britain was part of the EU, it didn't matter. It didn't do anything. And now Britain left the EU. Same thing. Oh my, people have got to stop awarding the EU for doing literally nothing and just claiming it does everything. When their government does something, the EU had no impact on that decision. Realizing this is just misinformation. The Epstein Files was American. What is this guy? It was America and Israel. It had nothing to do with the European Union or the EU. First of all, the EU supports this. The EU supports that guy. The EU, the most pro-Israel country in the world is Germany. What? Is this guy taking the living piss? This guy must be a comedian. This guy, oh my days. Oh my days. Has to be a joke. Okay, well that's not working. I guess his account doesn't allow replies. What's the innovation? That's, first of all, Philips is British brand, I'm pretty sure. Second of all, the EU has not innovated at all. I don't know what he's on about. They actually make it illegal to innovate. What's this? First of all, wait, what do you mean? The EU supports these guys. The EU supports Benjamin. Germany is pro-Israel, and Germany basically runs the EU. So is France. So is Italy. So Italy, France, and Germany, all pro-Israel. Okay, those are all the countries that are given the most amount of seats. You see, the EU has a system of voting where they hand out, where not everyone gets equal opportunity. The countries with the most amount of people get the most amount of voting power, right? Which is Italy, Germany, and France. Okay, and Germany with the most amount of power. Ursula von der Leyen from Germany. Okay, right? She's in charge of the EU. All pro-Israel. They're all massive Zionists. They want it to be like illegal, like years in prison for not being a Zionist. How feels to be pro-European? Who isn't Nazi? Yeah, it must be so much of an achievement when you literally call everyone who disagrees with you a Nazi. It's so much of well done. So much of an achievement. Oh my days. Vice President of European. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? What's this? First of all, they're not part of the EU. I don't know why he's posting that. This is American stuff. Nobody needs European Union. What? Everyone needs a strong Europe. This is what her fellow bureaucrats in the EU says. Oh, let's just destroy the country, open the borders, destroy the energy sector. Like this is what her colleagues are saying. This is your left wing. By the way, all these pages are against far right. They've no problem with all the far left stuff. Look at them, oh Nazis. Why are you talking about communists? They're actually elected in the EU. There's no Nazis elected in the EU, but loads of communists. I guess he doesn't care. Where is it? He was like, oh my gosh, fighting Nazis, blah, blah, blah. Okay, just let the communists win. They can destroy everything. That's fine. You can be put into a gulag. It would collapse within like a week. What? I bet it'd be like the Soviet Union. It'd be such a disaster. It'd literally be the Soviet Union, and everyone would be breaking up from the EU. The whole reason why people want to be in the EU is because of freedom, and they're destroying that. They're literally destroying the freedom. They're destroying the whole reason for creating a federation. Everyone would leave. Are you fucking taking this guy taking the piss? Oh my days! I bet, and then they would want more and more EU, and they take away the country's sovereignty, take away how they regulate their economy, how they regulate gun laws and freedom of speech. It would be a disaster. It would be such a... Look at her crazy fucking eyes. Oh my God. It would be such a disaster. People would literally just vote for their own country. They would not vote for some communist policy for all of Europe. This is a disaster. This is why in America you have state elections where you elect a governor, and you have your federal elections where you elect like Trump, right? And they have different gun laws for every state. They have different abortion laws. And it keeps the country sane. It keeps the country sane. Okay? There's places you can go in America where they've no abortion. And places where they've infinite abortion. And these idiots who have the worst politics, no political education. They just read communist garbage all day long. And they're so against different opinions and everything. These morons. These absolute morons are like, oh no, we just need the Soviet Union, but we're going to do it right this time. We're going to do it right. We're going to have the Soviet Union with abortion. Oh, and gay rights. We're going to have LGBT Soviet Union. And so much non-white people. Okay. No, the same currency doesn't mean anything. Loads of countries in South America, what? Open borders? What? It's not why would you brag about that? Oh my days! Who knows how many people there are in Europe? Actually, they've infinite immigration. It would never try. It's literally America's slave. They couldn't do anything. When they wanted to create a blockade over Libyan airspace, they gave up. Oh my, what European military? You don't have one. You don't have one. The UK is one active warship. Germany keeps destroying their army. Oh my gosh, our past is so bad. Yeah. And then you have France, which is oh my god, it's always just garbage. All of France is built by Charles de Gaulle. Ever since they haven't built anything. You're literally getting crushed by Russia. Nothing's going to change. Okay, this is a joke. It's actually